Kingdom greetings. I'm so excited about this video. I'm talking today about medicinal mushrooms. That's right. Hey, listen, I discovered something called a lobster mushroom, and I've never really been a big fan of crustaceans like lobsters, but it's so beautiful. And it led me down this road to venture off and try other mushrooms. I did order the lobster mushroom in its dried form, and I'm going to be making some lobster bisque when it comes. Yum. Now, I went on a little shopping excursion over the weekend to Whole Foods, and I noticed this big, white, furry-like mushroom. It was so beautiful. And the name of this mushroom is lion's mane. And I just had an encounter with the Lion of Judah, which made me put this mushroom in my cart. As I looked at the instructions on the package, it read, cut along the grain and then cook in very hot oil. This mushroom was described to have a taste like scallops. So I continued to look around the section of the produce area, and I noticed a maitake mushroom. I have heard of this mushroom before, but honestly, I was never interested in it. I read the instructions and it said, pull apart and roast for 30 minutes or saute. The description of this mushroom was like a meat-like flavor. So now I have one beautiful white-looking mushroom that can taste like a scallop and a browner mushroom that has meat-like flavor. So here's how I prepared them after doing some brief research. First, on the maitake mushroom, I simply pulled it apart into floret-like pieces. I sprinkled a little S&P, salt and pepper, and some EVOO, extra virgin olive oil, according to Rachel Ray, right? And I placed them on a silicone pad and I roasted them at 375 degrees for 30 minutes. Good. Now, the lion's mane, I prepared it like this. I took 1 cup of garbanzo bean flour, 1 cup of water, a half a teaspoon garlic powder and parsley, 1 teaspoon of pink Himalayan sea salt, and a half a teaspoon of Mrs. Bragg's organic sea kelp delight seasoning to kind of play up on that seafood quality described on the mushroom package. I heated up some peanut oil in a cast iron skillet. I battered them and fried them to golden brown. Indescribable, but I'm going to try. The texture resembles chicken, and the shape that I tore them into, it actually reminds me of a chicken wing. However, the taste was mild and sweet, almost like a scallop, but not quite. You're just going to have to try it. Now, since this video is about the medicinal quality of mushrooms, I want to describe how I felt after eating the lion's mane. I felt sated. I felt content. Also, I felt joyful. It was like I came alive. That child in me that always is present, but hadn't been present quite frankly lately because of a whole bunch of stuff that I am embarking on. But anywho, I felt playful and excited, and I wanted to explore other ways I can use this lion's mane mushroom. So this mushroom actually does improve your mood and your memory. It fights aging, depression, lethargicness, and cancer, and I did not know that prior to eating it. Okay, I didn't do that kind of research until after I felt so good. So this is the perfect mushroom to eat during these last days. Amen? Now, Paul Stamets, a University of Arizona professor, asserted that the lion's mane mushroom can act as an antibiotic. Wow. So I placed the link to the article that he wrote in the description of this video so that you can explore the remaining powerful health benefits of this medicinal mushroom, the lion's mane. Wow. Now, the maitake mushroom can be preventative in 2 major diseases that plague the African American community. What are they? We can probably all say them together. Number one, high blood pressure. Number two, diabetes. Look at how the enemy works. Now, I've never been fond of mushrooms because we never really grew up eating them, quite frankly. And then when I became an adult and began to try them, the taste and the texture turned me off. Then when we moved out into the boonies and I saw them growing in my yard, I was like, okay. And then gradually, as Father began to challenge me to eat like a consecrated vessel, I start eating white button mushrooms, portobellas, and cremini mushrooms in spaghetti and on pizza. Now, in the Western culture, medicinal mushrooms are very often used in their cuisine. It's here in the West where most people like myself are just starting to catch on. Now, I have an affinity for both of these mushrooms. Wait for it, and make my announcement. I have ascended physically, y'all. If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you are not in the Make Me an Accurate Reflection of Christ podcast loop. It's okay. I placed the link to the Physical Ascension series in the description of this video. Well, this is how God deals with me, all right? When what I'm eating gets boring, then I ascend into new food groups. As I mentioned, typically I don't like mushrooms that resemble those that grow in my front and backyard. But guess what? Both of these medicinal mushrooms grow on trees. Wow. So if you are a male or female and you're listening to this, both of these mushrooms are excellent for promoting hormonal health. So go to Amazon.com and order some dried lobster mushrooms and make you a faux lobster bisque soup like I'm going to do when mine's come. And while you're there, check out some maitake or lion's mane mushroom powder. Yes, these are seasonal mushrooms, so the time is now. If you want to get them fresh, you don't want a powder, then head on out to Whole Foods. It's the perfect time, where you're starting to get the seasonal blues that can come with the weather and the time change if you live in geographical locations where this holds true. Also, I placed a link to a highly touted company for a alchemic tincture that you can take these 2 and more medicinal mushrooms in liquid form. Okay. So that way, when they're not in season, these God-given jewels can still be in your system, because everything that we need in terms of healing comes from the trees. According to Genesis 1:29, Apostle Karen Pina, your heavenly success, ascension specialist, and glory teacher, signing out. Blessings.